Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, imagine this. You have to build the perfect society, like totally from scratch.
Wow. Where do you even start with that?
Right, what does it look like? Who gets to be in charge? Well, Plato, one of the absolute giants of Western philosophy, he really dug into these questions in the
A
Republic.
foundational text, no doubt.
Totally. And our mission here for this deep dive is really to unpack its main ideas. We're talking big questions about justice, the ideal society, even what the human soul is all about.
And it's written as a dialogue, right? Mostly featuring Socrates.
Exactly. It's a conversation exploring these, well, timeless concepts. So before we jump in, maybe just think for a second, what does justice actually mean to you? Let's dive in and see what Plato thought.
Okay.
So right off the bat, Plato, well, Socrates in the dialogue, he doesn't just tinker with the idea of justice, he kind of flips it completely.
Yeah, because the common view back then, represented by Thrasymachus in the dialogue, was basically might makes right. Justice is just what benefits the powerful.
Exactly. But Plato pushes back. He says, hang on, what if real justice isn't about power, but about harmony? Like every part doing its specific job properly.
And that's the crucial step. He then takes that idea of harmony and applies it to his blueprint for an ideal state, a perfect city.
Which has that famous three-part structure.
Three classes. You've got the rulers, who he argues must be philosopher-kings. They're guided by wisdom.
Okay.
Then you have the guardians, sort of the soldiers or auxiliaries, and their defining virtue is courage.
Got it.
And finally, the largest class, the producers, farmers, craftspeople, workers, their focus is on, well, fulfilling the basic needs and appetites of the city.
Right. And the key is harmony.
Precisely. A just city, for Plato, is one where each class does its own job, its own function, and doesn't try to meddle in the affairs of the others. Everyone stays in their lane, so to speak.
Okay, so if that's the city structure, then the really big question, the one that always jumps out, is why philosophers? Why put them in charge? That sounds, well, a bit strange to most people today.
It absolutely does sound strange. It's a radical idea, but for Plato, it's completely logical based on his deeper philosophy. He believed that philosophers are unique because they, and only they, can grasp true knowledge.
You mean the forms?
Exactly, the forms, these perfect eternal blueprints of reality, like the form of justice, the form of beauty, and above all, the form of the good.
So it's like they've seen behind the curtain, seen the ultimate truth.
That's the idea. They understand reality at its deepest level. And crucially, because they grasp the form of the good, they know what's truly best. So they rule, not because they want power. In fact, Plato thinks they'd rather be contemplating, but out of a sense of duty, guided by wisdom and love of truth.
Wow. So it's almost like a reluctant leadership born from understanding. That's quite a concept.
It really is.
And thinking about seeing ultimate reality, you just have to bring up the allegory of the cave here, don't you? It's really the most famous part of the Republic.
Oh, definitely. It's such a powerful metaphor for his whole theory of knowledge and education.
Can you maybe just sketch it out for us quickly?
Sure. So Plato asks us to imagine people chained up in a cave since birth, facing a wall. Behind them there's a fire, and puppeteers are casting shadows on the wall.
And prisoners think those shadows are reality. That's all they've ever known.
Exactly. Then imagine one prisoner is freed. They turn around, see the fire, the puppets.
Yeah.
It's painful even, but then they're dragged out of the cave entirely into the sunlight.
Into the real world.
Into the real world, where they see actual objects. And eventually, the sun itself, which represents the form of the good.
Yeah.
That journey out is the philosophical journey towards enlightenment.
But it doesn't end there, does it?
No. And this is key. The enlightened philosopher has a duty to go back down into the cave, to try and free the others, to tell them the shadows aren't real.
Even though the others might resist or even think the philosopher is crazy?
Right. They might not want to hear it. It highlights the difficulty, maybe the burden, of pursuing and sharing knowledge. It's a really profound image about education and reality.
It really is. Okay, so we have the just city structure, the philosopher-kings, the journey out of the cave. How does this all connect back to the individual? To you and me?
Well, Plato draws a direct parallel. He argues the human soul has a similar three-part structure.
Just like the city.
Exactly like the city. There's reason, which corresponds to the philosopher-kings. It's the rational part, the part that should guide us.
Okay.
Then there's spirit, or spiritedness. Think courage, ambition, righteous anger. That corresponds to the guardians. It should support reason.
And the third part?
Appetite. Our desires, hungers, basic drives. This corresponds to the producers. And just like in the city, these appetites need to be kept in check, ruled by reason with the help of spirit.
So a just person is someone whose soul is in harmony, where reason is in charge, spirit backs it up, and appetites are managed.
Precisely. Inner justice mirrors political justice. When your reason rules, you achieve balance, virtue, and true happiness, according to Plato. Your inner city is functioning correctly.
So let's try and bring this back for you, our listener. What Plato seems to be arguing in the Republic, really, is that a truly just society isn't built on money or military might, but on wisdom.
hmm Wisdom and understanding the good.
And justice, both in the city and in yourself, happens when every part performs its proper function, its natural role, in harmony with the others.
It's about finding your place and fulfilling your purpose. And crucially, the best leaders are those who understand truth and goodness most deeply, the philosophers.
Yeah, the reluctant philosopher-kings.
It's a powerful, if maybe controversial, vision. Justice as internal and external harmony, guided by reason and the pursuit of truth.
Definitely something to think about. So as you reflect on all this, maybe ask yourself, how does Plato's vision of an ideal city, ruled by wisdom, or his idea of a balanced soul, challenge, or maybe even confirm your own ideas? What about leadership, or personal balance, or even what you consider real in your own world?
Does that hierarchical structure feel right, or does it raise concerns?
Exactly. Lots to chew on there. We definitely encourage you to keep exploring these really fascinating and truly timeless questions.